Well, welcome everyone. Episode 8 of Grit and Grace podcast. I'm super blessed, super excited to have Cody Olive on the podcast. He is a legend in the space, a goat. There's no, the space as in door to door because it's not just a door to door podcast. But Cody Olive, he's like a 6-time Golden Door winner, 5-time 1,000 account rep, and then a 3-time million rep, and then a regional at the Grit, and currently lives in Atlanta running the first Mira home branch at the Grit. So thanks for coming on, brother.
Thanks, man. Excited to be here.
No, really pumped to have you. I've been looking forward to when you messaged me. I was like, hell yeah. we get the Sarge. So yeah, I just wanted you to first introduce just like your name, like who you are, where you're from, just everything, so people kind of know. There's a lot of people that listen to this that don't know the door to door. It's just like who you are and that kind of thing.
Cool. Yeah, Cody Olive from Southern California. Went to BYU here in Provo, Utah. Worked in corporate America, worked at Goldman Sachs for about 2 years. Got more active in my faith. Went on a 2-year mission for Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. Got back, and then a good buddy of mine is Josh Nielsen, whose dad owned GreenX Pest Control, and sold that 2019 summer and sold 1,000 accounts. And here we are 6 years later, and we've done 6 years of knocking doors and selling pest control, and now it's taken my wife and I out to Atlanta. We just recently are under contract on a new home, so super excited to start our life out there in ETL.
Yeah, crazy. So I kind of like wanted to just get right into it and just start asking questions.
Shoot, fire away.
So Cody, obviously this is what I was going to tell you. Like I sold Advantage for 3 years. Yeah. And my first year we were in Canada. And that was I don't know if you can take yourself back to summer 2021?
2021?
Yeah. So that was we were kind of talking about that. But I remember everyone was like, in our office, this is Canada, we're just starting. There's no dogs. Like, no one knows what they're doing. Yeah. We're all brand new. And everyone's like looking at the Grit because we're all like, what the heck are these guys doing? And I remember, and people will listen to this from Canada, but I remember being like, everyone's talking about Drew, Cody, and I remember being like doing the numbers in my head. And I was like looking at because you had that Sports Illustrated kind of magazine, and I remember being like, Cody sold more than Drew, like, but everyone's talking about Drew.
Yeah.
But I was like, Cody technically, and I was like kind of telling the guys, I was like, oh, it seems like this Cody Olive guy actually did maybe better.
Yeah.
But I was like kind of like. But everyone's talking about Drew, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you've kind of experienced that. But just as a backstory, like I've known of you long before you've even known I existed.
No, 2020 through 2021 was quite the ride, because Drew and I in 2020 were battling all summer long, and like I came out hot in May because we had to wait like 3 weeks that COVID summer, and GreenX kept pushing us back and back and back, and so like that first week I think I sold like 60 or 70, and then that second week I was like, all right, I got this, and like I went out and sold 127, and I was just like, I'm going to be the best. I'm here. Like, I'm going to break the record. At the time, it was Josh Zuniga, and he did it for UrbanX in 2019. He did like 1,500 accounts, I think like 850K. And then that 2020 summer kept going on. And then in Chicago, in COVID, everyone packed into that Chicago market because it was a big metropolitan city. You could house a lot of reps. You had 8 different pest control teams in there. You had alarms in there. Solar was starting to get big in there. And so just got super in my head about area, and Drew caught up to me and started to take off and, eventually passed me. And it was just like such a wave of emotions. And it was just like, I just was watching it slip from my fingertips. And then in August, kind of hit my stride again. And then in September, we moved to New Jersey. And then
are you with Drew? Are you selling on the same? No, he's in it.
Drew was in Indianapolis the whole time, and then he went to Grand Rapids. I was in Chicago the whole time, and then finished in New Jersey. And then once we hit New Jersey, those last 5 of the 8 weeks, I sold over 100 accounts each of those weeks. And so I caught and passed Drew, and it's a little touchy subject. Love you, Drew. But it's like I stayed an extra 2 weeks because he went home and started recruiting, and I wanted the record, so I stayed an extra 2 weeks. And so that's where I sold 1,728 accounts. And even though I just broken the record, and hindsight's 2020, so it's like if
at this time it's account based. It's not. They don't want to talk about revenue at this time.
Well, we were the first ones to do 1 million, so the goal was to do 1 million, and so Drew was at like 1,050,000, 1,040,000, and I wanted to keep going for 1.1.
Mm-hmm.
But the double golden door wasn't a big thing until Drew did that in 2021. And so I wanted to do a 1.1, but it's like, not a lot of people know, but it's like my mom's younger sister has Down syndrome, and she was getting really sick, and she's like a special person in our family. And so I had to quickly get as much as I could done, because I only had about 2 weeks as we were prepping, honestly, like for her to pass away. And so I went home, and then I didn't know what I was going to do, because I was still studying for like the LSAT and the GRE to go to law school. Even though I just broken the record, like I thought I was
still
done.
So that's crazy, yeah.
And so then you fast forward into 2021 when you guys are comparing it, and Drew took off, and then like I struggled in Houston. That's where we started, because that year we all left like April 1, and Milwaukee was too cold. So we started in Houston, and I just got rocked in Houston. And then we went to Milwaukee, and then just got super in my head about area, had a couple negative teammates. I was engaged to my now wife. We were planning the wedding. We were building a house. It was just the summer from hell. And so luckily I still got the golden door. I limped across.
This was 2021.
But I did 550, where Drew went and did a double golden door. So he smashed me. So it's like like you're a one-hit wonder, like all that kind of stuff. Whereas Drew took off. He had the higher ACV.
Was 2020 your first year?
2019 was my first year.
So 2019,
1,000 accounts. That's Philly.
Rookie.
So I did 6 weeks with Apted before my mission when I was waiting to go. And then I got back. And then my first full summer, I did 1,004 accounts. Wow. And so that was the 2019 team with Ben, Josh, Calvin, Parker, and Skylar. And then I was on that team. Reed Goodman was on that team. Eason Bunker was on that team. Zach Affleck was on that team. Dylan Hafen, Cole Judd. So like a lot of us OGs in that team.
That's like the OG grit photos of you all in the black shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the cursive grit. Yeah.
Yep. So long story short, that end of 2020 through September of 2021 was tough. And kudos to Drew. He kicked my ass, and rightfully so. Like, he is the GOAT, but I feel like I've been the longevity of GOAT and consistency.
And that's what I wanted to talk about, because I think there is like that GOAT talk, and obviously you are a GOAT, there's no question.
Thanks.
But it's the consistency, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Not just like the surface level consistency of where, Cody Olive has done 6 golden doors, no one's done 6 golden doors, but I kind of want to dive into like what it takes for you to be consistent, because I know what it takes for me to do a golden door, but to do it 6 times here, obviously it reflects who you are as a person.
Thanks.
Beyond just like knocking doors and sales.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to start like as a kid and kind of growing up. When is your first memory of like where you were like, I think a little bit different. I think there's something about me that might be just a little bit off or different.
Yeah, honestly, the first story that comes to mind is when I was in 7th grade, so I'm like 12, 13, and this is the main reason why I was kind of shipped off to BYU from California, is me and my best buddy, Zach Barron. We were childhood best friends. We'd played Little League together, travel ball together. Unfortunately, I ended up going to a different high school, and then I went to my high school. But back to 7th grade, I had Mrs. Moody, and they would call it core, where it was like one period was like English and the other period was like history, like social science. And it was like 2 months left in the year, and me and my buddy Zach had realized that we had high enough of an A in that class. We had like a 99 something. Whereas if we didn't do anything for the last 2 months and like we took a 0 on the rest of our assignments, we'd still get an A in the class. And so she like goes to give us this big book report crap or whatever, and me and my buddy Zach, like, we go present this to her, like, Mrs. Moody, like, with all due respect, it's like, we're done for the year. Like, we could take a 0 on all your assignments and we'll still have an A. And so she's like all flustered and upset, and she's like, no, you need to do this. And like, why are we doing this? Like, we're still gonna have an A. And whole thing, report us to the principal's office, call my parents, we get a big lecture. And we did some of the assignments, but like that moment was like really key for me, not because we were like trying to get out of something or work the system, but it's like if you could like work hard enough, I truly believe anything is able to be figured out. And so it's just like, in the summers, the reason why I love what I do is because, whether you're from any type of background or upraising, it's like door to door is such a character building experience where it's like, if you can continue to work hard and believe in yourself, I truly believe anyone can find success. So it's like that 7th grade moment is when I realized it's like, if I can control my inputs and always work hard and always show up, like I'll find success.
That's sick. And I didn't realize, like, even thinking about that story, like, you seem like so, like, you almost like you, like the sergeant, you seem like very by the books, very like obedient almost, like very like, but even like hearing that story, you kind of like, that's like a different side that I didn't realize that you had. Maybe like not a rebellious, but a little bit rebellious.
Oh, were
you kind of rebellious?
Yeah, that's why we went to BYU, man. My senior year, I actually got kicked out of my house for a week.
Wow, see, this is crazy to me. Like, actually, like I never would have.
Yeah, I was 18. I had my truck. I worked at Albertson's grocery store. Went and lived at my buddy Scott's house for a week. His parents were out of town. We had a great time. I mean, still went to school, like still showed up. And, even though we weren't active in the LDS faith growing up as kids, my mom always wanted me to go to early morning seminary. Did seminary that whole week, was stoked, got to sleep in, went to high school, hung out with Scott. We hung out with our friends. Like, it was a good time. It was more... I wouldn't say it was like I was disobedient. It was more like my dad is very much his own person. Like, you'll meet my dad and he is like unapologetically himself. And like, that's how I was raised. And then you factor in my mom, who is incredibly like disciplined and diligent and organized. Like, in my entire life, I think I've only seen my mom not be full makeup, jewels and everything once.
She's always put together.
Every single day. My mom. Outfit matches, jewels match, hair's done, makeup on. She even has her purse match her jewels and her outfit. And so it's like she's dialed to the nines, whereas my dad is, like, pull my finger. He's a big kid. And so it was good for me to go to BYU because I met a good group of buddies who were a good influence on me. And, they're still my best friends today. Like, we do like an annual retreat every year. And then when I went on my mission, my second mission president was a personal injury attorney and then a high profile divorce attorney. And so you're billing hours. So you're just so systematic, and he just drilled routine into me. So then when I got back, that like definitely carried over.
And I think a lot of people don't know this. And I think obviously there'll be a lot of people in the door to door that'll watch this and be like, okay, I want to learn more about Cody. And so people don't realize this too, is you went on a mission like 24.
Yeah.
Which is like old,
right?
Like for that. So what were you doing before your mission?
Yeah, so I literally, most of the time in the LDS faith, you go on your mission when you're 18, and I was at BYU and always asked like, oh, where'd you serve your mission? Like, assuming I went, and like that's such a cultural stigma, which is different podcast, different day. But long story short, I lived up in Salt Lake. I worked at Goldman Sachs. Was dating a girl pretty serious. Not my wife. Like, love you though, babe.
She's like, what the hell? Also, you can lift this up if you want.
Cool.
There's like a little thing right here. If you just like loosen it and then tighten it up, it's kind of hard.
We'll be okay.
Okay, you're good. As long as you're good.
But was working in my full-time career, was dating a woman pretty serious, and then out of nowhere just kind of had a lot of life experiences, and people choose what they want. I chose to get closer to God. I believe the Book of Mormon is true, and decided to tell that lady, it's just like, hey, like I'm gonna go serve my mission. Like, if it makes sense,
Were you graduated at this time? Like, you were full on, and what was your degree in?
Political science.
So political science graduate, and then you decide to go on a mission on 24. You come back, you're 26.
Yep. So, like, not to cut you off, but it's like I'm 18, come to BYU, I get done in 3 years. I pushed it back, my graduation, one semester, so that way I could, take a full semester to work on this project with this professor, because I was going to get published in research, which looks really good on an undergrad resume. And so I pushed it back, and I was his full-time TA research assistant, and then I just took one class, my capstone class, which is like your final class before you graduate. And then that final semester, like I was studying for the LSAT, was working for him. I was in one class, like it was all set. And then that winter, like was going to find like a good job at a law firm and then start law school the fall of 2015. But the fall of 2014, like my little brother passed away, my grandma passed away. The winter of 2015, my grandpa passed away, and then a dear friend like almost, took his life. And so it's like, it was heavy. And so like January of 2015, it's like I need to work. I want to keep myself busy. So then I worked at Goldman. I did that until about April of 2016. Wanted to go on my mission, but had to clear some things up. So then had to wait a whole year. And so that summer, my best buddy went and sold for Aptiv in Pittsburgh, and I sold with like Jackson Jr. and Dallas Jr. Like they were on that team too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I did that for 6 weeks just to keep me busy, make some money before my mission. And then I came back in the fall and then got ready, and then I left on my mission January of 2017. And then I got back I left February of 2017, got back February of 2019, and then wanted to find a good internship, again, just resume building.
You're at this point, you're not thinking about door to door at all. That's not even that. You just were like, oh, quick gig to like get some money first 6 weeks.
Just keep me busy, get me out of California. Because it's like, I graduated and I was working on my own, and I'd been out of the house since I was 18. And so that spring of 2016, like I was going nuts because it's like I was back at home. I was living with my parents, and like, you love your parents, but they're still going to always treat you as their kid. And it's like, I was, what was that, 2016? So I was 23 at the time. And then, so when I got back in 2019, Josh, I had met him that 2016 summer in Cleveland because I went to an Indians game and just happened to meet Josh and Wills at that Indians game. And then we always kept in touch. And then when I got back, Josh is like, well, hey, like, my dad's been pretty successful. Like, you could be his intern. And they have, like, Nielsen Ventures, which is, like, they had done Cafe Rio and a few other things. And, like, they were going to, like, work up, like, an internship for me. And then Josh is like, well, if you're going to do that, like, you might as well sell, too. And I was like, no, I don't want to sell. And so, like, we went back and forth for, like, 5-6 meetings and, like, met Bridger, that was the CEO, met Bob, met Randy Rigby, who was, like, the president of the Jazz, like, their big investor. And so then, like, you should sell. And, after months of, or not months, but weeks of going back and forth, I was like, all right, like, I'll go sell. And then I get out there and had a good start, was slow. And then, Ben and I got really close. And then East and I got really close. And then I got back and I was still studying to take the LSAT and the GRE. Didn't score as well as I wanted. And so it's like, okay, if I'm going to do it again, I'm going to go for the record. And that's what I did in 2020. And then here we are.
Took off. And then you after your mission, you wanted to be an attorney, right? So you wanted to you were thinking about going back to school even after your mission to become an attorney. And then
even to this day, like if we're 7 years down the road, like hopefully they make it so it's like a 2-year law degree because they have a 3-year.
So
I just believe in always learning. Like just a lot of the life experiences that I've had, like we're kind of getting mixed all with all the years. So 2014, 2013. I lived in Thailand for a summer. I did a BYU internship abroad. And that professor, his name was Ralph Brown. He was super, super knowledgeable and educated. And we did that whole summer in Thailand. And then he unfortunately got pancreatic cancer. And so that fall of 2013, for about 4 months, every Friday, like us and some of his favorite students, we would take him and his family dinner every Friday. And so, a professor, traveled the world, your last few months before you die, like a lot of wisdom. And so it's like, sad because you watched him kind of wither away, but just like he would always, always, always promote just learning and reading and traveling. And so it's just like, in 7 years, if it makes sense for Alexa and I, it's like, I would love to go get my law degree.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear about, like, first of all, your story's so unique to most people in the door-to-door space. Most people in the door-to-door space, they start door-to-door 20, 19, 18. You started late. You're already doing what you've done. And then you throw that, like, just out of nowhere, and you go, oh, I would actually go back to school 7 years from now. When you'll be set up for life in 7 years from now, for sure. But
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like I love my parents to death, but my parents are very much like they didn't have me until my dad was 40 and my mom was 33. And it's very much like the old school. It's like you work for 30 years, you retire, you know, you go on a couple cruises, you hang out with your grandkids, and that's life, which, you know, totally fine. Like if that floats your boat, like everyone has their own version of happiness. But for me, it's just like, you know, I think life is so much more impactful than that. And it's just like, it's not that I want to be a billionaire to be a billionaire. It's like I want to be a billionaire to like go have travel and experiences and, you know, start nonprofits and, you know, be able to help a ton of people.
So you want to be a billionaire?
Yep.
I ask a lot of people that I bring on the podcast. I talk about the why triangle.
Yeah.
And I talk about like how it's built off of your dreams, your people, and then your revenge, obviously. Obviously, the end goal financially is a billionaire. But if you were to, like, let's break it down, like your why triangle of why you want to do what you do.
Yeah.
And so you can tie it into the 6-time golden door. You can tie it into your billionaire dreams and all those things. But, like, what would you nail those 3 things down for you?
So starting with people.
Okay, yeah.
I would say people, I mean, kind of going back to that 2014 year and like, you know, the reason why I wanted to do this is like I saw you did Jenna Jarvis's podcast and mental health is kind of like a buzzword right now. And I feel like it can be really helpful, but it is kind of a buzzword. And so it's just like, for me, it's like when it was 2014, like my little brother actually committed suicide and it was like totally out of nowhere. Like, you know, he had great friends, you know, he played lacrosse, a lot cooler than me. Like the friend that like, you know, it's kind of like Tyson, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like everyone wants to hang out and be around Tyson. Like that was my little brother, you know what I mean? Just like a total friend's friend. And it's like to this day, like no notes, no signs, no, like we didn't find something in his room, like to this day. And it's an absolute mystery. And it, you know, just eats my mom up to this day. And so it's like for people.
Wow, I never knew this.
And that's why I'm so close with Josh, Wills, and Jack, because me and Josh were really good friends. And then Wills got back from his mission too. And so Wills rode with me every day for a month to Delaware. So like Wills kind of was like my little brother. And then started to become really close with them, you know, got close with Kath, you know, Josh and Wills and Jack's mom. And then Jack had just got done with high school. So then they sent Jack out and like, you need to go with Cody because, you know, I was older, return missionary, all that stuff. And so then got really close to Jack.
I never realized you were this close with the Nelsons. That's crazy.
Yeah, and Josh, Wills, and Jack are some of my closest friends in life. And so for the Y triangle, it's definitely people because it's just, you never know what someone's going through. You know what I mean? And so it's like to be able to be, you know, someone's rock where it's like, you know, I have guys like Cody Carwile or Sekou or, you know, Nate or, you know, I call Devin and Jaden Smith my sons. It's like you never know what someone's going through. So to be someone's rock and consistency, like you never know how impactful that is. So that's kind of like my people. And then, you know, again, like, you know, I'm married, been married for 3 years. Love you, Alexa. It's just, I'm so old school in that tradition where it's like, no matter what happened, my dad always worked and showed up and, you know, always got the job done. And same with my mom. So it's like, I always think, and this was kind of ingrained in me in my mission, it's like when I would get home from my mission, like each night, I had this little note card that was up on the mirror and like I was only in 4 areas on my mission, but I'd always tape it up on the mirror. And it's like, did you give it your all today? Did you work, everything you had? And then did you talk to every family? Because it's like I lost my little brother. So it's just like, did you talk to every family? And so that's kind of like my people and my power. My why is just kind of had an interesting life. And so I don't think it's the obsession of money, but when you make a lot of money, you have a lot of freedom to do what you want to do. So it's like my parents were just here for a week and took him to the Jazz game. We ate wherever we wanted, took him around in my sweet Porsche, and my dad absolutely was giggling like a little school kid whipping around turns, you know? And so it's like, I think that's a good why, is just to provide a very abundant life to people, and especially people I love. And then kind of my revenge is, I don't think it's revenge. I think it's more, I don't know, in like middle school and high school, it's like I was kind of, you know, I have my buzz cut now because, you know, someone was messing up my hard part, so I'm kind of getting that redialed. But it's like in middle school and high school, I wasn't a very handsome kid. Like, you know, I was a little chubby, buzz cut, was good at sports, but like was never like the guy. And so it's like when I got into college, it's like, okay, like, here's my ticket, like I'm gonna make the most of it. You know what I mean? Or it's like, here I am at Goldman, like I'm gonna make the most of it. Or it's like, here I am on this 2-year mission in Singapore, where it's like I'd never really left California besides going to Utah. Like, here we go. Or it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do this silly killing bugs thing, but it's like, you know, my name's on this, so it's like I'm gonna be the best to ever do this. And so I think it's like once I turned 18, it's like, okay, each opportunity, like let's fully max it out.
Have you always been that way of wanting to be the best?
Not really, honestly. And like in high school, like I always made good grades, and I always knew I wanted to be an attorney and wanted to be really successful. It's more just wanted to maximize the opportunity, where it's like, you know, you and I share that similar, where I'm obsessed with Michael Jordan, and it's like, I love that Last Dance quote, where it's just like, you know, that's the way I played the game, and if you don't want to play it that way, then that's
that
fine.
Video, oh yeah,
it makes
that video could get me emotional. Like
it literally, like even right now, it like gives me chills.
Yeah.
It makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and it's like if I'm ever having a rough day, I watch that, and it's like, I'm on.
Clip.
I'm on.
Yeah, everybody, you know, people will watch this and think, oh, maybe he's a tyrant. Maybe he's this.
Yeah.
No, that's you, because you never won anything.
Yep.
I wanted to win. Oh, dude, I could quote that whole thing. I'd listen to that every day before sales.
Yeah.
That 1 minute clip of just, you know, winning has a price. Leadership has a price.
100%.
Yeah. That's crazy. When Drew posted that repost, I was like, yes.
Well, dude, it's like I literally the last 2 years just running these big teams, like Jersey, we had like a 40-man team. Houston, we got up to, you know, 60 guys out there. And it's like, in my expectations, I'm always like, you know, guys, there's going to be a lot of times this summer where you won't like me. Like, you will not like me. But it's like, do you think Pippen was mad about his championships? Do you think Shaq was mad about his championships? You know, do you think Steve Kerr is mad about his championships and now his role at the Golden State Warriors? Everyone needs a Michael Jordan.
So what, and this is why I love guys like you, because if you understand Michael, like me, since I was like 10, like 9, 10, I was watching VHSs of him. I've been collecting his memorabilia. What makes you like, because it's crazy, because you have this ability, even just hearing you talk, it's like this ability to be like superhuman, super real. Like, I want to go back to school. Like, I want to, like, just like good guy vibe.
Yeah.
What taps you into the, like Tim Grover talks about it, like the dark side? Because you seem, just like being here, you have a light side. You know, you're just like, bring your parents to the grid. Yeah. Like, there's like this like happy family, talk about your wife, but then you tap into that alter ego almost, in a sense. What taps you into that? Like, why do you tap into that? Why do you do 6 golden doors? Like, why? Like, why are you doing this? Like, like, just to be straight up, why are you doing this? And what taps you into those places?
Yeah, I think to be really raw with you, just having older parents, it's kind of sad, but it's just like, you know, you have a lot of relatives and family members pass away, and so you go to a lot of funerals. And when you're at a lot of funerals, you realize how precious life is, and you realize how important your choices are every day, and you realize how precious time is, because it's just like, it's in the blink of an eye, and it's like, I can't believe I'm 31. You know what I mean? I still feel like I'm at BYU, where it's like 2 of my best buddies that are part of that group of 10 from college, they married sisters, and so they're here for the holidays. And like,
I met 2 of them, right?
Yeah, those who you met, yeah. So those are my best buddies from like 18, and like they married sisters, and they the sisters, their parents live up in Holiday, so I get to see them every holidays. And like, our thing was working out. Like, you know, obviously used to be in a lot better shape back then, but like we're just giggling, just like what a time it was, where like you could go to the gym for like 2 hours, lift, come back, chill out at the village, you know, catch a vibe, go hang out. And then fast forward now, and it's like, here we are. It's like, my one buddy Connor has 3 kids. My buddy Alex works for a big law firm. He has a kid. And then, you know, my wife is pregnant now. Wow. So it's just like, gonna have a son. So hopefully another Michael Jordan in the making. But it's just like, I think the reason why I do all that is because time is precious. It's like when you are forced at 21 years of age to put your little brother's life into 10 pages, like you really think about life. What do you want? What makes you tick? What motivates you? And so it's just like, I'm really selective about what I do, who I hang out with, who I spend my time with. And some people, you know, pardon my French, they're kind of like, well, like, you're kind of a dick sometimes. And it's just like, no, it's like, I'm going to do what I want to do, because it's just like time is so precious. You don't realize how little time we have. And it's like, in my mind, it's like I have a 90-year sprint. And so it's just like I'm, guns blazing for 90 years. And so it's like,
sick.
That's
so cool. Yeah.
That's how I live my life. And it's just like, if you vibe with that, like, let's take it to the moon. If you don't, like, I'll always be supportive and I'll always be kind. Like, who am I to think I'm above anyone? Like, I don't think anyone is above anyone
No, you
else.
don't give that vibe at all. No.
And like, I always try and be kind to everyone, but it's like, if you're going to run fast with me, like, let's go freaking fast. You know what I mean? And so why? It's just like, well, one, it's just like life is short. Two, kind of, leaning on like that totally changed the course of how I view things. And with my little brother passed, it's like, you never know when someone needs someone or something. And then three, it's just like, I want to do fun things, like, going to Thailand when I was in 2013, like that would probably another be like, you kind of have your top 10 like life altering moments. When I lived that summer in Thailand, like that was like a life altering moment for me. You know what I mean? Like finding out my wife was pregnant, going on my mission, getting this last golden door, like living that summer in Thailand, like changed a lot how I view things too. And it's just like, I want to travel, and to be able to take off and travel and do things, like, you got to make a lot of money. And here we have a great vehicle here at the Grit. So it's like, let's squeeze this for all the juice it's worth, and then go travel and have fun with Alexa, and, love my wife. Hopefully she can crank out 6 kids for us, and, we can have a big family. She only wants like 3 or 4. So
6 the number, huh?
5 would be the dream. But like, as long as my wife wants to keep having kids, like, why make all this money and why work this hard to not like have fun with them and spoil them and go do cool things?
That's so sick. And so are you done with Golden Doors?
Honestly, like, you'll kind of,
where's the line? Like,
well,
no one's done 6. What's beyond? So you're 6. Is there a second play? Like,
I think Drew and Siegs both have 4. I think Brock has 4 too, actually. Yeah. But they've done the double. It's like,
which is dope. Like,
yeah.
To do a double is amazing, but there's something different about 6 consecutive different summers.
Yeah. Because a lot of the guys have done it just like 3. You know what I mean? They've had 3 big summers where it's like I've done it 6 times in a row while running big. Or it's like this summer in Houston, we had 5 guys do the Golden Door. We had 19 guys do over 200K, and then we put on close to 9,000 accounts and did $8 million in revenue. And I still did 1,000 accounts and still led the team and still was there every morning meeting and still showed up for those guys. And like, we have a fun group, but it's also a very challenging group too. So it's like, it was very emotional. Like, you had to be available for them. And so where's the line? It's like, now that I live in Atlanta, it's just like, why not do a 7th? You know what I mean? It's just like the fact that we live so close to revenue. It's like April, May, June, July, and August, I can go visit Nate and Devin's teams. And then the rest of the year, like that, 2 to 6, 2 to 7 p.m., like go out and knock and just do a casual year-round Golden Door.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Truly insane. But the way you talk about it is it doesn't have to be insane. It doesn't have to be this over complex, crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not that old school mindset where it's like, grip it and rip it, even though, I love that sometimes, where it's just like, hey, quit being a candy ass.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is you're not that. And I get that vibe where, like, as a leader yourself, and I asked Zach Anderson this question, where does vulnerability lie in leadership? How do you become a leader? Like, what's the steps to becoming a good leader? In your opinion, you're still growing, you're still learning, you're not a perfect leader. But, like, what do you think makes a leader a leader?
I think, I honestly, like, kind of like at the Grit's core, and that's the reason why I always work here, is I think leaders lead. So I think you should be the front of the pack. If not sales, kind of like a Easton or a Mike or a Preston, Strickland, you're leading the recruiting and the business. And so I think leaders lead. I think 2, I think it's being someone of like trust and character, where it's like, I always think it's like, hey, if I met this rep's parents, like, would they be proud to be like, hey, this is who I work with, this is Cody Olive? I always think about that.
Wow, that's a cool thought, actually. That's a really cool thought. If you met the rep's parents, which most people probably in this space, they don't care about their parents. They just want a recruit to make money.
Well, it's like this summer I had my parents actually come out to Houston, and like went to an Astros game, and like they came to like our morning meeting and stuff like that.
So cool.
And so it kind of put it in perspective, and I think that's really cool. And then especially in Atlanta, where like you're outside of Utah, where door-to-door is not as popular, like you do meet a lot of parents because they're like, oh, door-to-door, scam, what is this? This isn't, Kirby vacuums. And so I do meet a lot of parents now out in Atlanta. I call them parent-teacher conferences. No, I'm just kidding. But like I love meeting them. And then the third thing is I think you learn how to, it's kind of like in sales. We talk about twisting. You tailor your leadership and your insights to that person, where it's like, if it's Devin or Jaden, it's like, come on, like, let's go, like, let's work harder. Let's push it. If I'm talking to Nate, it's like, okay, what's the vibe, Nate? What do you think? What do you think these guys need? Kind of like make it feel like it's his idea. Or if it's like, I'm talking to like Cody Carwile, it's just a lot of like, hey, we can do this. It's a lot of self-belief. Hey, we can do this. We can do this. Or if it's like Jonah Schultes, it's just like, we're listening to Sabrina Carpenter and, we're getting tornadoes at Quick Trip. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's a good lesson I learned from Ben and Easton, where it's like, you have to, I talk about my speed, like that's life, but in leadership, you kind of have to also like, tailor it towards their speed as well too. So I would honestly just say, just showing up for them, being a person of trust and character, and then, being able to like teach them how you'd want to be taught.
You keep mentioning trust, and I'm sure you've read this book, but it's the wow, I can't even remember. It's the 7 Principles of Highly Effective People.
Stephen R. Covey.
Covey and my mission president would always talk about, would you rather be trusted or would you rather be loved?
Yeah.
And you
Trusted.
probably, and I know the answer for you.
100%. I actually went to Thailand with David Covey, who was Stephen R. Covey's grandson. So
he's not the guy that did punt returns? Is that David?
No,
different one.
It was David and then Jacqueline.
Okay.
But what you might call it. So that was always talked about, and then my mission president, President Roy, was big on that too. Like it's better to be trusted than loved.
It's such a powerful principle.
Yeah.
And you ask a lot of people nowadays, and they'll say loved.
Or especially in the space that we're in too, Noah. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're like, well, I want them to keep working with me. I don't want to upset them. But it's like, I've seen it time and time again where it's like, don't be a jerk, but it's just like, if you're straight with people and like you always show up and you work hard and like you're authentic to who you are, like people naturally want to stay around you. You know what I mean? And it's like, since doing this in 2021, like I've only lost a few people, you know what I mean? And a lot of it is just like, hey, like I'm done with door to door, or hey, I'm going to go to med school, or whatever it is. So it's like, I feel like that's a true testament, because it's like, why do you like Tyson so much? No, it's like you trust him, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or it's like, why do you like Brock so much? It's like you trust him. He's dependable, and he shows up.
Even though these people sometimes can rub you the wrong way, at the end of the day, they're going to show up. They're going to do what they say. And that shows a lot about you and your leadership, because so many people, and I hope people listen to this, so many people in this industry are just like, they don't care about retaining. They don't care about people. They just want quick people to produce revenue for their branch. Yeah. And if you piece, but you've produced revenue for me. And that just goes to show a lot about you and your character, that you can retain people, because you're not a leader if no one follows you.
Correct.
If no one's following you, you're not a leader. You can think you're a leader, you can have this big status doing golden doors, but that's probably more important to you than the golden doors, which I'm assuming it is 100%. The impact that you have. And when did that switch, where it was like no longer about, oh, this is my personal revenue? When did that shift to like, oh, this isn't just about me and my accolades of being a great goat of sales? When did that switch?
Yeah, I honestly think it was that 2021 summer. It's just like, you want to learn how to manage. It's like that 2021 summer, that was like the first year of the grit. So it's like, you're doing housing, you're doing the cop outs, you're running the morning meeting, you're drawing area every night. And then it's like, I'm engaged, we're building a home. So it's just like, that year was just madness. And I think it shifted when it's like, I actually had some of like my mission friends come out, and like, my mission, besides like my wife, is like the most sacred experience of my life. It's just like, I don't let anything touch or affect. Like, I absolutely love my mission. And so I had 2 missionaries from my mission come out, Wyatt Danzy and Chase Peterson. And it's just like, it was cool at the end of that summer to see Chase, he made like over 30 grand, and then he did supply chain at BYU, and like that floated him for the rest of his time at BYU. So I thought that was really neat. Or it's like Wyatt, he like came back that next year and like, you know, he ran a lot of meetings and, you know, he ended up working with us for about 3 years. And then, you know, he's doing something in like a trade type space. Like, I can't remember exactly what it is, but he just had a lot more confidence. Or it's like, you know, that 2020 summer, my technician, Hunter Lodwick, like that 2021 summer, he sold over 300K. So to go from being like spraying homes to then selling 300K, and then like the next year he did 400K. So it's like, that was really, really cool to see.
And you hear about like Casey Baugh talking about management is spiritual, like managing is spiritual. Do you feel that recently, or do you feel that since you've been leading?
100%. Like, I feel it now that we're especially going to have a kid. It's just like, I want, you know, out there in Atlanta, you got like Chris Diefenbach or Davis Cahalan or Ethan Carroll or Nate and his wife Gio. Like, I want those kids like around my kids a lot. Like, I look forward to the day where it's like I bring my kid into the office and like they're around them and stuff like that. Because then it's like, well, what are these guys going to say to my kid about dad? And so it's like going back to that. So it's like being someone of trust and impact and hard work.
It shows a lot about you and how you're dropping all these names.
Yeah.
Like, it shows a lot about who you are. And
thanks.
I know it's so small, but no one drops names like that. It just shows that you're actually thinking about people and their names and their faces, and
100%,
which is spiritual in itself.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Chris Diefenbach, kid was a shyster, and Nate recruited him out of Target, you know, just a total degen, and then goes out, hits partner this year and sells 400K, and he's going to make 200 grand. And then now he's, you know, telling his reps at 19 years old, like, you know, save up and let's help you get a house. Like, that's generational impact, where it's like my 10 buddies, I love them, but I talk about this all the time. They're all in corporate America, where it's like, that's your life. You work there 20, 30 years, or maybe you get a little bit of entrepreneurial spirit and hopefully you strike gold. Like, you know, kudos to them. And I wish more people would do it, because you learn a lot from failing, or you learn a lot from trying things on your own. But a lot of the times it's like, this is my paycheck. I make 90 grand, you know, save up for a house. You know, maybe once a year we take off for a trip to Hawaii or whatever, which again, like, no knock on any of that, because that's most of the world. But it's like, if you have this vehicle where you can knock doors and learn how to sell pest control and write your own paycheck, it's like, everyone should do this.
It's so sick, dude. And so generational impact is crazy. I've never heard that phrase of, we talk about impact, but having a generational sense of impact.
100%.
It's amazing. And it's amazing. Thank you for sharing about your brother.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, that's a sacred, spiritual thing. And you don't have to answer this, but what do you feel like he is proud of you?
100%. You know, I mean, it's bittersweet, because it's like, I look now and it's like, him and I really like cars, where it's like, I had a truck in high school and like it was lifted, and I put 35-inch tires and I put race wheels on it and like blacked it all out. I had a big racing exhaust. Like, I even put like one of those PA speakers in it. And so like we'd yell at kids like, hey, pull over.
That's so funny. Yeah.
And so when he got his car, he got like a Mazda 3, and he like lowered it, put like racing wheels on it, put an exhaust. And so it's like, you know, I have this Porsche, and on my license plate, like, go look at it, it says Air.
I noticed that. Yeah.
And so like, that's for MJ. But then in 2026, I want to get a Ferrari, and I'll put his initials on it. It'll say Wyatt Daniel. It'll say WDO, and then it'll say 18, because he was 18 when he passed away. So it's just like, it's bittersweet, because I wish he could, you know, enjoy all these things with my wife and I. But it's also like, that's a lot of like fuel to my fire, because it's just like, you know, there's a lot of days where it's like, guys and gals, it's like, I don't want to get up. It's like, you know, I dropped my parents off at the airport this morning, and it's like, I just wanted to go chill and, you know, maybe watch a Hulu show, go to lunch. But it's like, my guys are in town, and so it's like, I got to show up for them, you know, like, I like what you're doing. And so it's just like, you know, I want to do this podcast with Noah. And so then it's just like, guys, and gals, it's okay to feel down. You know, it's okay to have worries, and it's okay to have sorrow, but it's like, don't let that dictate who you are. You know what I mean? And it's okay to feel those feels, but I feel like too much of society right now lets that determine who they are and who their path are. It's okay to have those feelings, and I feel like we're more aware as a society more than ever, but we allow that to cripple us. You know what I mean? You don't think I feel sad? You don't think I don't miss my brother? You don't think I wish my parents didn't live here in Utah? Or you don't think it's going to be hard moving to Atlanta? My parents all the way in California? Of course I feel those things. But it's like, you have to make those choices every day to show up. And that's where it's like, that's where you have power. That's where you have success. That's where you have fulfillment. And that's where a lot of people follow you. And then that's where it's fun, because then you get to see them turn around and do it for other people.
It's amazing. Truly, you're amazing. Like, hearing this is amazing. Like,
Thanks,
I
man.
appreciate you talking about it. And we'll wrap it up here. But I wanted to talk about this as well. 2 last things. One, I love the video of you. I think it's on the landing pad, probably like 3 years ago. And you get emotional in the video. It's you talking on a podcast, and you get choked up, and you talk about how when it's hard, just do it. And you start to get emotional. You know what I'm talking about? You started to get emotional, and you're like...
That's what I did with McKay. It was me, McKay, and then Garth and Easton.
Why were you... what gets you emotional talking about doing it hard? Because my favorite thing is, if it's easy, do it easy. If it's hard, do it hard. Just get it done. Just finish the job and do that. What brings on the emotion when talking about those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, Noah. It's a good podcast. For all the nice things he's saying, I'll Venmo him after. No, I'm just
this
kidding.
is a sponsored podcast.
I'm just teasing. No, I think it goes kind of back to what I said, where it's, I feel like if people would just believe in themselves a little bit more, and it's like, we send this picture around of me as a joke, but it's me in 7th grade, where it's like, I'm chubby, I got a band suit on, I'm playing the trumpet, buzz haircut, and like the like orange red hair from like South Park, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm decent now, but it's like, to look at that to where we're at now, it's just like, I think anything is possible. And so I feel like if people would believe in themselves more and work hard, they could achieve their dreams. And it's just like, you look at how high depression is, and you unfortunately look at how high, like I grew up in Orange County, California, you look at how high like prescription abuse is, and just people just aren't fulfilling their lives. And it's just like, it sucked because I had to go through the refiner's fire to like get where I am today with death and trial and all these experiences. But it's just like, if you can just work hard and, don't ignore your feelings, like take care of your feelings. Like if you need someone to talk to someone. If it makes sense to seek professional counseling, like seek professional counseling. Like since my brother passed away, I've seen a counselor, for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? It's very good to be aware of your feelings. And so I think if you can harness those and then you continue to work hard, it's like people could achieve their goals more. And that's what makes you happy. It's like, I texted Easton Bunker, and it's like on Friday for Black Friday, Alexa and my parents and we went to the outlets, and there's a old school, you know who Tom Jones is? He sings that song Why Delilah, or she's the lady. It's that old school song. And my mom loves Tom Jones. And we're in the Porsche, and we're driving to the outlets, and like I just put on like Elvis and hit shuffle, because my mom loves Johnny Cash and Elvis and all that stuff. And She's a Lady by Tom Jones comes on, and like, just driving, and like no one saw, like my wife was talking with my parents were in the backseat, but got emotional because it's like, I'm only 31 and I don't think I've made it by any means, but like to be able to be 31 and own 2 homes, and I flew my parents out for the holidays, and I'm taking my pregnant wife to the outlets to go shopping, and we're in this cool car and we're listening to Tom Jones. It's like, I'll get emotional now, but it's like, that's cool, like that's the good stuff. And I think that's living, I think that's living, and I think that's cool moments. And if you can work hard and do those things, like you can have your own moments like that. And that's what I hope everyone can have.
That's so cool, dude. That's awesome. And I could get emotional. Yeah, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it, because you have those moments and you're like, whoa, like I'm blessed.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed because I chose to do the hard.
100%.
And doing the hard is really hard, but it's worth it.
No, I think it's always worth it. And it's like, if you're ever in that moment where it's like, you think after 2021, it's like, you don't think I have doubts. It's like, Drew just kicked my butt, like, am I really that good? Or was 2019 and 2020 a fluke? And the only reason I got a golden door in 2021 is because, I worked harder than everyone else. And then in 2022 to go to 1,000 accounts and 1 million again, it's like, okay, sweet, I can do this. And so it's just like, keep working hard and keep doing the hard things, but make sure to take care of yourself too. I call it your check engine light. You know what I mean? Like we're big car guys, and it's like, you get a nail in the tire, like you're gonna go get the tire pumped back up and fixed. You feel this feeling, and like you just try and suppress it, food, alcohol, drugs, pornography, whatever it is. It's just like you're not taking care of your flat tire. And it's like it's a fine line where it's like you don't want to be dependent on counseling and things like that. You still have to row your own boat, but it's like if you need it, like, get that check engine light back in balance.
Get it back in balance. Awesome, dude. Well, the last question I ask everyone. The name of the podcast is Grit and Grace. 2 favorite words in the dictionary. When you hear grit and grace, like, what do you think of? What does that mean to you when you hear those 2 words?
Yeah, I think grit and grace. I think for grit, I think of kind of working hard and making generational impact. And then grace, I think it's just always assuming the best in everyone. And I feel like especially, whether you're out like in California or you're out there, it's just like, assuming the best, or, sometimes you're here in Utah and it's a more judgmental society because of certain cultural influences. I feel like it's, assuming the best of you, not being so worried about what everyone's thinking. And so I feel like if you can work hard and, have generational impact, you'll be a lot happier and people will be a lot happier. And then grace, like, just give people grace. You know what I mean? It unfortunately took my brother passing away for me to realize that, but it's like, go say hi to that person. Or like, you haven't seen that person in years, like, go say hi. Like, my wife is a great example of this. We'll literally be at the mall and it's like someone she knows from 7th grade and hasn't seen since 7th grade. And she's like, oh, I was in history with her. Like, I'm like, let's go. And like, she goes and says hi. And the amount of times people are like, that made my day. So it's just like, always assume the best and then hope they assume the best for you too.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. It's awesome.
Like, it means a lot to have people like you come on and to actually learn from you. I don't just walk away from these and get in my car. I think and ponder on everything that was said, and there's a lot to ponder and think about. So thank you. Thank you so much. And that is a wrap for episode 8. So
thanks, fellas.